Hurricane Debby is headed for the Florida coastline. Good Sunday evening, I'm Mike Naso with continuing video update coverage of Hurricane Debby, the second hurricane of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, sitting there in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, getting stronger as it nears the Big Bend area of Florida. Here is the latest on Hurricane Debby as of 11 p.m. Eastern Time from the National Hurricane Center. The eye of the hurricane was at 28.6 north, 84.0 west. Winds are up to 75 miles per hour, which makes it a Category 1 hurricane, and it is moving north at 12 miles per hour, and it's about 65 miles west-southwest of Cedar Key, Florida, as of 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We do have hurricane warnings in effect from Yankeetown, Florida to Indian Pass. And we also have tropical storm warnings south of there along the Florida west coast. And we now have tropical storm warnings from areas here of northeast Florida all the way to the Santee River in South Carolina, with the expectation of tropical storm conditions throughout mid to later part of this week as we watch Debby slow down. It's not going to be good news at all as far as the rainfall. Once the hurricane makes landfall, it will weaken, but it should remain a tropical storm all the way until Thursday night, early Friday, as it barrels into South Carolina at a very, very slow pace, causing heavy, heavy rainfall and a very potentially historic rainfall flood threat. Here's the latest satellite imagery of Hurricane Debby, and again, right in here is where the center of the storm is. It's not extremely well organized, but the environment is favorable enough with very, very warm August Gulf of Mexico hot water, and of course, good upper-level outflow, especially in the northern quadrant and off towards the east. That ventilation is allowing the system to strengthen, and that's why it is now a hurricane. Again, the convection wrapping right around here. We'll see this continue as it heads into landfall, and it should make landfall sometime very early Monday morning, possibly earlier even than we're expecting if it kind of speeds up towards the coastline, which is always a possibility. Here's the radar out of Tampa Bay the last 6 hours, and it's kind of had an elongated eye feature here. It's not extremely tightly coiled, but that's just exacerbating this heavy rainfall. Look at these rain bands moving through the area there of Tampa St. Pete, and there's a lot of potential for severe weather embedded in that. We have a tornado watch here for areas of Florida, most of Florida, from the Georgia area, southern Georgia, all the way down to Sarasota, over to Vero Beach, back up to Brunswick and Apalachicola, this whole region under a tornado watch, because whenever you have a landfalling tropical cyclone, there is a threat of tornadoes. Again, if it continues to move north, it should eventually make landfall in this little area here, this concave of the coastline of the Big Bend. And if you look at where this is the position from the National Hurricane Center, where it should be around mid-morning tomorrow morning, although I have a feeling it might be inland by then, but the official forecast as of 11 p.m. has it right here at about 11 a.m. Monday morning, just offshore, as a stronger Category 1 hurricane, about 85 miles per hour, maybe even 90 miles per hour. So it looks like a strike of a potent Category 1. In this area between the Steinhatchee River and maybe Keaton Beach and areas there of Apalachee Bay, St. Mark's, Florida, this region here, which is pretty rural. I mean, it is pretty rural if we look at some of these locations here on the street view. Pretty desolate for the Florida coastline. So if it has to make landfall as a strengthening hurricane, we hope it's in a less populated area, but nevertheless, it's still going to cause big problems beyond that with heavy, heavy rainfall. Here's another look at the water vapor imagery, and again, the center of the hurricane is right in here, and it's going to make landfall and then move very slowly all week long. I wish we could get Debby up and out, but it's going to get trapped in weak steering currents, and that is not going to allow it to go away anytime soon. Very impressive here as it fans out, obviously a sign of a strengthening Category 1 hurricane. Storm surge is going to be an issue near and to the right of the center from Yankeetown to Ocklawahnee River, 6 to 10 feet with crashing waves on top of that. Stay away from the water. We already saw a lot of water rises along the southwest Florida coast, and that was when Debby was offshore as a tropical storm. Making landfall as a hurricane is going to be a much different story here in the Big Bend of Florida. And this area is very susceptible to high storm surge with landfalling hurricanes. But I must stress, the threat with Debby, beyond any hurricane force winds and storm surge for Florida, is the potentially historic heavy rain event that's going to occur because of it getting trapped here in slow steering currents, almost no steering currents. It's going to meander, and even though the winds will weaken, the rainfall will not, and we have a serious high flood risk from Tallahassee to Savannah, Jacksonville, Augusta, Charleston. You guys are really under the gun for a lot of flooding. So if you're in a flood area, please listen to local officials because it could be really bad. Look at these rainfall amounts the next 3 days from the Storm Prediction Center. We're talking 10, 15, 20 inches of rain perhaps in some areas there from North Florida through Georgia into South Carolina. In fact, if I look at the European model here, watch what it does with the rainfall. It brings Hurricane Debby in, and watch, this is by Tuesday, Wednesday, it takes it offshore, then it brings it back inland by Thursday, looks like a hurricane, in South Carolina, maybe Myrtle Beach, that area, and then Friday it's still sticking around, Saturday it's still around, really not until Sunday do we get the system up and out, and just imagine the heavy rainfall potential there. Very, very bad news. So the key messages for Hurricane Debby as of 11 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday night. Number one, as I mentioned, potentially historic heavy rainfall across southeast Georgia and South Carolina through Friday morning will likely result in areas of catastrophic flooding. Heavy rainfall will likely result in considerable flooding impacts from portions of central and north Florida through the coastal plains of the Carolinas through Friday. Mind you, it's Sunday night. It's going to be a long week for those people in the southeast. Number two, tonight and tomorrow there is a danger of life-threatening storm surge along the Gulf Coast of Florida. 6 to 10 feet of inundation above ground level expected between Ocklawaha River and Yankeetown late tonight and Monday morning. Residents in that area should follow any advice given by local officials. Number three, hurricane conditions expected Monday along portions of the Florida Big Bend. We do have a hurricane warning in effect. Tropical storm conditions further south, and then that will extend onto the East Coast. And dangerous storm surge and wind impacts along the southeast coast from northeast Florida to North Carolina through the middle and later part of the week. Storm surge warnings have been issued as well, as we have onshore flow around Debby that will push water in. So it's not just rainfall, but also beach erosion, waves, storm surge, a real heck of a mess. So again, if you are in the Florida Big Bend and you see this update, batten down the hatches. This is going to be a nasty little Category 1 hurricane coming ashore there along the areas of the Big Bend of Florida. Stay away from the water, hide from the wind, and try and hope that the storm can get out as fast as we want. We want this thing to keep moving. Right now it's 12 miles per hour, but by all indications, this thing is really going to slow down. So get ready for the potential for a lot of heavy rain and a lot of flooding. It happens, and it looks like it might happen with Hurricane Debby. I'm Mike Nasel with continuing coverage of Hurricane Debby, a Category 1 hurricane nearing the Florida Big Bend area. I'll talk to you next time.